Hi, everybody. It's Linda G, and here is Mel.
Hey, everybody.
And I just want to say I had done the cards and I thought I saw the Eagles winning. Actually, they were close to winning. But and then of course, Kansas City, I had no skin in the game. I didn't care who won. And so I'll be honest with you, I feel a little bit guilty because when the Eagles beat the 49ers, I put a little curse on them. But I looked and it said they were going to win. So I said, okay. So I told everybody, I hope people didn't go to Vegas. But anyway, I was shocked when I heard Kansas won. I was very surprised, but that's good. I mean, Kansas is all happy.
They all called their bookies right after that.
Right. And then so I was thinking about it this morning when I was brushing my teeth. And I said, boy, that was weird. I'm going to stop doing that. I'm not going to look at games or anything like that. And I heard my voice, the man that talks to me, and he said, God takes no sides.
That's true.
God takes no sides. So probably even the other side doesn't predestine. It's best man wins. There's certain things that are not predestined.
I agree.
And as even if you're a father to children and your two children are competing, you don't want to take sides.
No. Well, guess what? This is going to sound un-American to me. I didn't even watch the Super Bowl.
I didn't watch it either.
Because I evaluated two dogs yesterday for Canine Good Citizen, and they both passed. Yay.
Ooh, yay.
Aria, a beautiful Belgian Malinois, sweet dog, and Tesla. I think Labradoodle, who's also a very sweet dog. So
a Labradoodle?
Yeah.
What color was it?
Black and white.
Okay.
So they both passed. Thanks to Angela De Palma, trainer extraordinaire.
So you're plugging right now?
I'm sorry?
Are you plugging right now?
Yes. No. We just train dogs at my office on Sundays. And I was just, Angela let me evaluate them yesterday because I'm qualified to evaluate dogs through the AKC for Canine Good Citizen, Canine Good Citizen Advanced, Urban Dog, Trick Dogs. And so it was fun for me to evaluate. And the dogs were stellar. And so were the trainers, the handlers. So good.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
The other thing, my Italy trip, I've got openings still, and I apologize to people for not getting back to them. It's just been crazy with me. And I took off for 2 or 3 days because I had an episode of vertigo. So I'll get back to people today and tomorrow.
I'm glad you're okay, though.
Thank you.
I get vertigo. I think it's energetically, it's in the world. I'm going to talk with Andre. I'm going to be on his show Wednesday. And we're going to talk about these big astrological events taking place, like Saturn going into Pisces, Pluto's going into Aquarius. So there's some upheavals taking place.
Yeah. Vertigo can be debilitating. People would years ago tell me about vertigo, and I'd be, how bad could it be? I ended up in the hospital for 2 days once with vertigo. So
I had to go to the hospital. They said I had to come right in. They thought I was having a stroke.
Yeah, me too.
But let me tell you did you do the pressure?
No, but I will.
It took it away like that.
Really?
Press right down in between as hard as you can to that vagal nerve. And as soon as it starts, sometimes when I'm sitting up and I lay down, if I'm at the doctor's, it'll start and I press down and it's gone.
It's funny, if I look a funny way, I get double vision, and there's nothing wrong with my eyes, and then everything will kind of start moving.
Well, I see that Scotch bottle sitting next to you, and just calm it down, will you?
It's this.
That drink looks so good. What is that drink?
This is orange Fanta, but it's diet.
Okay. It looks very yummy.
And I love orange pop. Okay. And I don't drink a lot of pop, only when I'm doing shows. And it's either ginger ale diet or orange.
Diet. And I always call the 45 Orange Crush.
Well, there you go. Well, this is Fanta.
So thank you guys for your questions.
Yes,
I just want to know, I did a read yesterday, and I definitely see that these balloons have been around for a while. We're just now picking them up. In fact, China said American balloons have been coming over their side for a while, except they forgot to mention there's no there's writing on it that says happy birthday and get well soon. but so but I do feel it's untoward, like it's not kosher what they're doing. They're definitely sneaky.
Well, it's low tech. It's low tech, there's no propulsion systems because they go with the wind.
Yeah,
It's low tech, but I mean, it's high tech with the intelligence gathering apparatus. But my question is because they depend on the winds, where did they launch from? Because if they had
exactly.
launched from
I also
China,
feel Russia might be one of those balloons belongs to them. But
being
also, it's not ET. Some general didn't answer them when they asked us it as extraterrestrials. And because he didn't answer, they assumed he meant it could possibly be, it's not terrestrials, you guys, I'll tell you right now. Because that biography show I saw where in the Vietnam War, they were shooting at ETs. They were shooting at them. And then the bullets they would shoot at them would turn around and come back.
if it was extraterrestrial, number one, they're so advanced they wouldn't be using balloons. All right.
No, and they would go boom, they'd be disappearing.
It would be a propulsion system that we wouldn't even know about.
Yes.
But you hit on something, and Kevin had touched on this last night too, that that Russia also, I kind of got a feeling Russia and China are doing some stuff in cahoots with these balloons.
That's what I felt.
Yep. I mean, that's three of us that concur on the same thing. So, and there will be more. I think the thing that confuses people is when they say they're unidentified flying objects. Unidentified flying object doesn't make it alien. It just means they didn't know
They didn't know what it was. Yeah.
Correct. But you know what, Linda, the Pentagon knows exactly what they were.
Oh,
And,
okay.
and they're just not letting it out.
Well,
And
China admitted the one that they took down over by North Carolina, that was their balloon. They admitted it.
What was it doing over our airspace?
Well, they're not admitting for that, but they got all the innards out and they're looking at it, and it was some sort of tracking thing, and they're getting more. But now they're looking up in the sky, and trust me, my guides, I don't know what your guide said. My guide said this has been going on for some time. Like they've been out there for a long time. Sometimes people thought I remember seeing videos of paranormal and all that, and they called it UFO sightings, but it looked like a balloon sitting there.
Well, they are UFOs because they're unidentified, but
right,
they're not.
But they were acting like it was ETs.
No, but you know what? You're right. It has been going on for a long time. So I think a lot of this is the administration saying to China, stop it. We will no longer. I think for a while they ignored it, or they just wanted to see.
I don't think a lot of times they knew, or someone reported it and they didn't care.
Sometimes they didn't, but NORAD is what found them, and now they're looking for them. So I think that some of the times they knew. I think they were just trying to figure out what the Chinese were up to. But I think this is a warning to China, like, stop it.
Well, there's a lady on Twitter who did her thesis on satellites and all that. And she said what happened is when NORAD does their scan of the skies, they're looking for things like jets and airplanes.
Right.
And she said, if you do a scan of the beach and you want a tennis ball, she said, you have to introduce into the system what the size and dimensions of a tennis ball is, and it'll find it. But she said, so what has happened is they opened it up to pretty much look for anything, because there's all kinds of things in the sky, birds and everything. And then they caught this, and then now they're, because some are oblong and some are round.
Well, I think too, NORAD was looking for high-speed aircraft, missiles, and also I think they were looking for things that emitted heat, like jet engines do that. So do rocket engines.
Yes.
So these were different shape. They weren't fast traveling. They weren't emitting heat, and so. But now you're right. Now they're looking for them, and they'll find them. I still think that they knew that there were a couple of them there from a long time. I mean, like a while ago, but I think they didn't do much because they were trying to figure out the technology that they were using and what was involved. But I think now the administration's saying, stop sending your spy stuff over here because we will shoot them down.
Okay.
That's what my guides are telling me anyway.
So, so LH, we sort of answered your question. She asked, what is going on with the balloons? So now we know. Stephanie wants to know, how much further will the repubs be able to go with book bans, birth control restrictions, etc., before this sh// stops? As a kid, I always wondered what it must be like to live during the dark ages. It looks like we're getting closer to finding out every day.
Well, the Satan is now trying to or somewhere they're trying to ban like the pills that cause like the morning after pill, which is crazy. And it's a Trump appointed judge that's looking at it that might let them ban it in some states. But Trump is after just Satan big time. He's calling him desanctimonious.
Yeah.
He's
calling him meatball too, or something. And somebody said, has he looked in the mirror? He shouldn't be making fun of the Satan's weight.
Well, I think what'll happen is, though, Trump, even if it's true or not, will release a lot of stuff to make the Satan look bad.
Really bad.
And so the Satan is not, he's already not looking, well, he'll start looking really bad.
Yeah.
At some point, I see more justices on the court. At some point, I see Roe v. Wade upheld.
Yes, codified.
This is the dark moment that Ruth Bader Ginsburg showed me in the dream. The light taking over, then the dark pushing back, and then the light pushing out again. That's what we're going through.
That's right.
But the banning of books, that's reminiscent of Nazi Germany.
Right.
The communists did that under the Bolsheviks, and the former Soviet Union books were banned. I wonder, this is a food for thought. The Bible hasn't been banned. I wonder what would happen if a school system says we're banning the Bible.
Yeah.
Don't you think to Satan and all of those hypocrite, ultra right-wing nationalist Republicans, supposed Christians, oh my God, they would be having 3 heart attacks and 2 strokes.
Yeah, let's ban the Bible.
Yeah, and see what happens.
It's an ancient book written by man.
Correct.
And it's got some ugly things in it. So yeah, they're going to ban To Kill a Mockingbird.
I don't get that. I mean, that was when I was in high school in a very conservative South. And I remember when I was a kid, signs that said whites only. When I got to high school, we had to read To Kill a Mockingbird.
I did too.
Yeah, it was required reading, and Catcher in the Rye.
Yeah.
So but what's going to happen if they ban those books? They are going to sell like crazy online.
Oh yeah. You can get them on your cell phone now. You don't have to go to the library.
And then if a teacher tells a student to read the book or gives it to them, they're going to try to charge them with a felony. Give me a break.
That won't. I would be a teacher. I would let them arrest me just so I could go to the highest court and then make sure it's found unconstitutional.
Oh, I absolutely would also.
Yeah.
What does that mean for private schools? Can private schools teach that?
I don't know.
It's not going to hold up. If it goes to the Supreme Court, they should say you can't restrict freedom of speech. Or what we read. We should be able to read what we want.
Yeah. So, do you have a question you want to go do real quick?
I got a bunch of them, but let me. Okay.
Because I have more questions too.
This one says, Jatienda, read on DACA, please. Lindsey Graham and Dick Durbin sponsored a new DREAM Act of 2023, which I did read, and I see it going through. That's what I see.
The DREAM Act, yes. I saw that too.
Okay. Yay.
I've been saying the dream. Don't worry, dreamers. Things are going to work out. I'm sorry it's taking so long.
But I
Lori Ritchie asked, please go into detail about a timeline and location. That's the thing. We can't do that as psychics.
No.
Give us a specific. Now we can't do that because she's wanting to know about earthquakes on Portland, Oregon, and Seattle.
I see a few, but nothing like the one that happened in Turkey.
Nothing like happened. I didn't see Armageddon.
Oh, that was horrible.
A good size one will happen in California, but I don't know when.
But I don't think it's going to be like Turkey.
It's like 7 point something.
But I think, Turkey and parts of Syria, they didn't have the building codes that people do here and things like that. But I think they'll come up with stricter building codes, but that's not bringing back people who died.
Yeah. The hospital I worked in was built in 1980 something, and it had all the updated earthquake stuff. So when the Loma Prieta happened, you should have seen it. The ceilings were falling in and everything. So just because you're earthquake proof doesn't necessarily make it
Doesn't make it mean the building wouldn't collapse in a humongous earthquake.
right. So ask a question.
Okay, Pamela Bryant says, in 1982, the Tylenol tampering crime took place. 7 people died. Yep, I remember that.
I remember that. Yeah.
Flight attendant died. This crime is why we have such safety measures on all of our products today. There's talk of opening the investigation again using new and improved DNA research. Do you see the culprit being caught and identified? Well, I think it was a couple people, and I think there was a copycat, because remember there was a bunch of them after that. I
Yeah.
think the person that
They
was
caught one person that had
Right.
done that.
But I think the other one's probably dead by now.
I think it was a woman. And I think she deliberately did it and tried to do others. So when she killed her husband, it looked like it was widespread.
Correct. Yep. I think they'll find maybe evidence of the copycat stuff.
Yeah.
But I think one of the people who did it is dead. That's what I'm picking up.
That's what I'm picking up.
Uh,
And do you remember Campbell's soup too?
yes.
Where some guy took his Campbell's soup to work and he died of botulism or something?
Oh, that was that vichyssoise soup or something. It was
that?
Yes, it was cold potato soup, and it was if it's canned improperly, you'll get botulism. It's just
Wow.
something that they inject in you because it paralyzes involuntary muscles, and there's no cure for it.
There was a couple of deaths too.
A couple of deaths. That's right. It
But
was
I remember I got afraid of soup after that.
it was cold potato soup. Well, the thing is, if you heat food to a certain degree, it'll break down botulism toxin.
Oh, okay. Because I like to boil my soup and then let it cool off and eat it.
Well, it'll break down the botulism toxin, but because it was cold potato soup, they did.
He's at work. He just poured it in a bowl and ate it.
Correct. Then it did it.
Okay, Hillside Poppy asks, will we have a hellish heat in California again this summer? Asking for the Central Coast where it was dangerously hot last year.
Well, I see a heat wave hitting, absolutely.
I do too, unfortunately. And also this Armageddon rain stuff isn't stopping. We've got some years to go. We got rain coming again in next Friday, so.
You and I had predicted huge rainstorms in California.
And it did happen.
It did happen. Maybe it'll help prevent fires this year.
Hopefully, but sometimes it'll create more overgrowth, which exacerbates the fires.
And then
all I know is when the fires happen, I have to go down to the Sonoma County Fire Department just down the street from me. And, I bring the Menzies bubble gum. A big thing of bubble gum. They love bubble gum on the field.
Really?
Yeah, so I bring them a big thing of bubble gum. Plus I introduce myself and,
I'd be cooking for all of them. Auntie Mel and Linda are
Auntie Mel and Linda in the kitchen at the firehouse. Boy, some of those firemen can really cook. I got to tell you a story. True story. So my dad worked at Station 6 by the airport, and he said one day they got a tuna casserole. And they were dying over it. They said, damn, so-and-so, this is good tuna casserole. And then somebody looked up on the counter and saw cat food. And he said, we don't have a cat. What's that cat food doing there? And the guy who cooked the food said, what? Oh my God, I thought it was tuna for humans. But being men, how they are, well, okay, it still tastes good.
Got up in the middle of the night and wanted to meow or something.
Okay, you got a question?
I could go on the fire station and said, do we have a meatloaf for you? Or better yet, we have one for us. All right. We digress. Okay. Kim G wants to know, What will the event or sign that the pendulum is starting to swing back towards justice, equality, and temperance? I think it already is, Kim, because in Georgia, there's already indictments handed down with interference in the election. So I think, and that's another reason why Lindsey Graham was hot to try to get that DACA put through, because he was trying to divert attention away from Georgia.
Yep, it's coming out. They
Oh,
just announced that the judge said he's going to show the grand jury stuff on Thursday.
Oh, we'll be like, we should do a show. We should do a show Thursday or Friday just to see the aftermath.
It's going to be, and boy, Trump is going cray. He's talking so much trash about Jack, what's his name? Jack White
Jack Smith, I think.
or Jack Smith. He's talking so much trash, just like, why the person that has the power to destroy you, why would you fight them like that? It's really interesting. You know,
Exactly.
he wants America to say no, and he wants people to march in the streets, and it's just not going to happen.
Nope. Speaking of marching in the street, people in Iran are marching in the streets now.
They still are, because they've been trying to block us seeing it.
I saw it on the news today. They're
Oh,
marching
good.
huge. And I see, enough people. I think there was the president who's a theocrat giving the speech, and they were protesting. And I see that government overturned, and I see that theocracy going by the wayside, and I see a democratic government in Iran. So
Wow.
it is coming hard and fast.
Yeah. So Richie says, hi, Linda and Mel. I think you both have said in the past that we all have psychic abilities. We just need to develop them. Does our life path play a role into how well we can develop our abilities? Or is it all about the work we put in is what we will get out of it? Thank you.
Well, I think we all have them. Some have them different than others.
Some good people are really good with dreams.
Correct. Or stronger than others. We all have our gifts. So when people say develop them, I say they're already developed. You just need to learn to listen to them.
Right. And the key here, and that's what happened to me, is you have to be quiet, and you have to be connected to source it's almost a vibrational thing. Because after cancer and my awakening, I'm not thinking in terms of, I'm not reactive like I used to be. When you're quiet and you always in grace for what you have, and you just open that door, you ask them, look, if this is my destiny, if I'm supposed to do something, let me know. And let me tell you, as long as vibrationally you're a match to them, they can work through you and give you more gifts.
I think a lot of times people say that they've had a life tragedy that kind of woke up their intuitive ability. And I'm like, no, the universe knew it, the universe was trying to get your attention. They just had to hit you on the head.
There you go. There you go.
I just say, what I do in classes is just show people how to pay attention to what they have.
Okay.
I do think, though, one thing that's really good, what he said, I think life events can dictate how we use it or don't use our psychic ability. Absolutely.
Right. So you got a question?
Yes. Okay. Will we have a magnetic pole shift this year? I don't see that.
It's already happening.
It was happening, but it's not going to flip completely.
It's very slow.
And if it does, it's not going to be Armageddon, as you would say.
As it was thousands of years ago.
It just would indicate that it might screw up
communications
and navigation, but they would adjust to that. So
now listen, I want to ask you, I'm sure it's on here, that Ohio thing, the Ohio train rail, the police are beating people up who are trying to get in and ask questions. They're blocking the press from getting any information. Birds are dead, fish are dying. What the heck is going on?
I remember the derailment, and there was some toxic stuff that spilled.
It was like a nuclear explosion.
So,
and then all of a sudden it was out of the news.
Correct. It's a cover-up for sure.
It's a cover-up, and I feel it's a chemical cover-up. I feel that whatever this chemical was never supposed to be on that train.
Or should have been more careful. And I think it's a cover up because they don't want to face the repercussions of that.
Right. But they even got the police involved.
Because it's toxic and it's also carcinogenic. That means it can cause cancer.
I'm telling you, there's going to be some big stuff coming out about this. This is huge.
It's going to be huge.
I didn't even realize how huge it was till I started really focusing in on it.
You know what? My light bulb just went off.
What?
Because of this, I see there's going to be a lot of legislation coming to say what hazardous materials can be carried, and a lot more huge precautions put in place to
Right. Because all those people that died or whatever happened in that town who can never go back to their house, they're going to sue.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's just like, you know, when the Our Lady of Angels fire happened here in Chicago in 1961 or 62, I forget. But I wasn't here then. I was in Kentucky, but it was a Catholic school that caught on fire and 93 kids died.
Oh my God.
And after that, there was sweeping legislation across the country that schools had to be fitted with sprinkler systems and fire regulations. And so I bring that up because this is what I see with this accident in Ohio. There's sweeping legislation that's going to come to make the railways more safe to prevent stuff like this from happening again. It'll come out that it was that they did try to cover it up. But
you know, and what you do is you sue the hell out of this agency that did this to where they can't afford to do it no more.
well,
The San Diego diocese is filing for bankruptcy because they have so many lawsuits with child molestation.
I don't think they should allow them to file for bankruptcy. They don't pay tax. Why should they file for?
No, I know.
You know, the Catholic Church is one of the richest organizations in the world, and they should have to pay.
Yeah.
Really, you know, that this thing in Ohio, I remember once in Bhopal, India, there was a chemical plant and it was just really poorly managed, and it was a cover-up when it was a cover-up. Excuse me one second. It was a cover-up, and it all came out in the wash. In other words, the press and everything. And a lot of Indians died. And boy, because of that, a lot of plant safety precautions were put in place.
That's good. Well, you know, we had terrible fires in New York and dressing manufacturers and children at that time. They were allowed to work and people died. And then they finally start doing something about it.
Excuse me one second.
Okay.
Somebody's trying to get me and I'm just gonna tell them I can't talk.
I just want to answer Deborah. She said, are the balloons a result of 45 selling intelligence? No. We just basically went over that, but no.
What was it again, Linda? I'm sorry.
Are the balloons a result of 45 selling intelligence? No.
No, I don't think it's that.
Although if 45 was in office, he would say, don't even bother with it. Yeah.
Well, there were some that were up there when he was in office.
Yeah.
Okay. I've got one. Christian Martinez, this is good. The U.S. Army is experiencing a manpower shortage and its recruitment numbers have gone down due to the coronavirus.
The worst yet this year. Yeah.
Right. Will the Army extend an age waiver to 42 and offer people bonuses to get rid of the World War II uniform that Trump authorized? I don't know what I see them. I do see they'll extend an age waiver to 42. Yes.
There's a lot of people with really good health. My dad was a professional motorcycle racer at 41.
Right. And yes, and will they get rid of the World War II uniform that Trump authorized? Yes, they will get rid of that uniform.
Okay, good. Listen, Mary Larson said, I love watching you and Linda. Will they find the rest of the perps in the Idaho murder case? I only saw the one guy. I don't see others.
I don't see.
I know it's hard to believe that one person did it, but he did it.
I think one person did it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm picking up.
I mean, if we're wrong, but they got the perp in jail right now.
Right. Let's see. Kelly Keith asked, where is Mark Meadows? I didn't even know he was missing.
He is sort of, he's been talking to the DOJ. Trust me, there's a lot of stuff that's come out about Trump that's from Mark Meadows.
You know what I just saw when you said that? I saw a canary in a cage singing, like he's singing like a canary. And then my guide said, tell them he's in hiding. I was like, okay. So
Yeah.
all right. What do you got, Linda?
The dynamic duo from Pat. As a people, our knowledge of spirituality has grown enormously. That's the truth. Like a show like this would have been a nothing burger 10 years ago.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, but because of the absolute fear from Trump and the enlightenment that's happening, more and more people want to know the truth. But
a lot of us out of the psychic closet.
And so has our suicide rate. It's gone up enormously. Do you think more people are willing to end their current lives because they realize that we are eternal?
I'm glad I'm exciting you, Linda. My blood pressure pills do it. Yeah, right. They do actually make me yawn. I'm sorry, what was it? I'm sorry, finish the question.
Okay, so everybody's becoming wide open now, but suicide rates have gone up tremendously. Are people committing suicide because they realize they're eternal and they're just done with this life? What's going on?
No, I think a lot of it's the insured of the times. There's bullying. There's people
Terrible bullying. There was bullying before, but it's really bad now.
What about that girl in New Jersey I watched on TV today? She was 14. She lost her life to suicide because she was bullied, and it showed
beat up.
It showed a clip in the hallway of her being attacked by these 2 students or 3 students, and now those students are going to be held for assault and all kinds of stuff, and they should be.
They should be.
I was bullied in school, and I didn't want to go because I was called sissy, faggot, queer. I got beat up, and in those days, I thought I was gay, but I thought I was the only one.
Right.
And God forbid you should come out of the closet. But I know what it's like to be bullied. And there were times when I thought I'd be better off dead. But thank goodness I never did suicide. But this bullying has got to stop. I mean, it's going to be a huge case in New Jersey about this girl that lost her life to suicide.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I think a lot of people do it because of that, a lot because of depression, a lot because of anxiety, a lot.
And also the fentanyl, people are actually accidentally overdosing, but they might call it suicide.
Right. But I still think the rate of suicides is up because of, I mean, look at what's going on in the House and that doo-doo show, and people are just unsure. And so I think they're and a lot of times they want to end their pain, their mental anguish.
One of my favorite guys, Bad Company on Twitter, just announced that John Kirby has explained the 4 objects that were shot down: not extraterrestrial, not manned, not controlled, no propulsion, no weapons, no payload.
So that's what we've been saying.
That's what we were saying. That one general didn't answer them when they said, do you think it's extraterrestrial? And everybody went running saying he didn't answer. That means he knows something. And it's, we all love a good.
Everybody likes a good UFO story.
Yeah.
All right. I've got one, Miller Studio. Hi, Linda. Aloha, Mel. I just love you two. Thank you. Long-time listener. Thank you. I recently lost my husband. I'm sorry. We were together forever, have a child. I just wonder, and it's a great question, are the signs that I'm seeing really him? For instance, specific license plates. I have a lot of examples, but I won't list them. Thank you, guys. Love your show, Maggie. Yeah, Maggie, it is him. When they make their presence known to us, they don't have to hit us over the head with a ton of bricks, but it could be a license plate. It could be a number. It could be any number of signs, and just
Right.
know that he's with you in spirit. In fact, I see a man's hand holding yours. And I see a hand wiping the tears from your eyes.
Oh,
Um, and so just know that you'll be with him uh, at some point. And when a
right.
church comes across, he'll come for you. But he doesn't want you to die just because he crossed over. He wants you to continue your work. That's the message I got.
Yeah,
Are you receiving
that's
anything?
excellent. Yeah, and I feel like he's always with her. I wanted to show you a picture real quick
Okay.
with your Betty Boop in the background. It
Yep.
was based, Betty Boop, hold on. Betty Boop, Baby Esther Jones was an African-American jazz singer. And they based Betty Boop on her.
Wow. There you go. I love Betty Boop.
I love her too. And I wanted to be sure to show that to you. It looks just like her.
I have a tattoo of Betty Boop on my shoulder.
Oh my God.
And my aunt,
I
my
used
mother,
to love the show. Remember the cartoon?
Betty Boop, 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 ba doop, in her dog spot.
Mhm.
My mother's youngest sister's name was Betty, and they called her Betty Boop. So I used to get her Betty Boop stuff. And when she died, my cousin said, Mom wanted you to have these because you got them for her. So she gave me.
Oh.
So yeah, that Betty Boop, Wizard of Oz, things like that I like.
Dakota Silk said, "Good day, Mel and Linda. You're both classy people.
Yay.
I take the dishes out the sink before I piss in it." With Minnesota codifying abortion and women's reproductive rights, will it have any influence on the litigation in North Dakota, Wisconsin, and Iowa regarding their abortion trigger laws?
I doubt it.
No. I felt no right away.
The only thing that's going to change that is for those states to go purple. And at some point they will. Linda, can we pause this just for a second?
No. You got to take a whiz.
No, I got to plug.
Hi, everybody. So this is an interesting question from Julia Marie. Can your guides tell you anything about the obelisk in Egypt? Did it conduct power from the pyramids in Egypt? Edgar Casey always believed this.
I don't know about that. I think it was a religious thing. And I'd be amazed to know how they put it up. I watched a YouTube thing about how they think they did. It was pretty interesting. They acquired the stone. I mean, they were really advanced, the Egyptians for that time. So I don't think it was a battery of any sort. But I do think it was a testimony to the technology of the day.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, I'm feeling that they felt it was doing something. It might not have been doing something, but they in turn were thinking it was pointing directly to something.
like, well, look at the pyramid, how it's facing, and it's like, even though it's a tomb, but a lot of that stuff, they were astrological markers. So
Yeah.
they knew a
Okay,
lot about they knew a lot about astronomy.
they
And
sure did.
and
So did
stuff.
the Mayans. I mean,
Absolutely.
that goes back ancient.
And when you see those
So
pyramids, it's like, whoa,
I know.
pretty amazing.
So what is your
Okay. Well, here's a good one. Jade LLR, will Governor Andy Beshear of Kentucky be reelected? Thank you in advance. Love you and Mel dearly. Andy Beshear is a Democrat. He a lot of people in Kentucky that are staunch Republicans like him. He's doing a good job down there. His father had been governor. So I see him running. I see him in another term. I say yes.
okay, good. So here comes another question. Marcy. Hi, Linda. Hi, Auntie Mel. Can you please ask your guides if Greg Abbott is under investigation over the energy/gas kickbacks he's getting as Texans suffer in the cold? Can he be forced to resign?
I see him under investigation, absolutely. For that, plus what he's doing, shipping off immigrants to other places like sanctuary states and cities, which moving people against their will like that's illegal. You cannot kidnap people and move them against their will.
No,
And he's going
but
to
they
be,
seem to think they can.
well, he's going to, well, there's a saying in Kentucky where I come from, think in one hand and urinate in the other one and see which one fills up the fastest. So he can think all he wants, which is dangerous for him, but I see him in trouble for a lot of things.
Which leads me to this other question about what is his name? Shoot. Well, Greg Abbott, I'm almost feeling is going to be in a lot of trouble, but it's right before he's the time for him to leave. He'll have already served 2 terms, and I just feel like they start, like right now they're trying to throw stuff at him, but he's got this wall around him, like he's able to keep out people from looking at him too closely.
When you said that, my psychic light bulb went on again. And what I'm seeing is an end to what I call these Teflon politicians, like you described Abbott, that like nothing sticks to them. But
Yes,
sooner or later, that Teflon will wear off
it's
and
gonna,
things.
yes, it always does. Look at Trump.
That's right. That's
We
right.
all, and everybody's still believing he's getting away, but he's not, trust me.
He's not going to get away with
What
it.
you call's about ready to hit the fans.
Nor will Abbott, nor will DeSanctimonious, as Trump calls him.
You got a question?
Yeah. Laura Wright, hi, Mel and Linda. Sterling sees John Fetterman having to step down as Pennsylvania senator to focus on his health. This is sad and scary for the Dems in the Senate. Will the governor be able to appoint a Democrat in his place? Will his constituents be frustrated by this? What do you see? I don't see him stepping down. I mean,
I saw, maybe I see that he's going to be in and out a lot.
Correct.
But I can't tell if it's stepping down or he says go ahead and read. But I see they did a good job with him with that stroke. It's just the medications he's on can.
Well, he's just got out of the hospital because he felt lightheaded. But I had open heart surgery, and a lot of the medications can make you feel lightheaded.
Real lightheaded, yeah.
I think you're right. If he does step down, then there will be a Democrat appointed in his place, and it'll be something that's really awesome. So, not to worry so much about who, if it happens, who they're going to replace him with. Because
I almost feel it'll be a woman. I don't know why I felt that, but
I'm sorry, say again.
I feel like it could be a woman.
Yay. I like women power.
Okay, Cynthia Brandt, if you can't visit your loved ones where they are when they are getting ready to transition, if you pray for them and send love and communicate with them that you're with them, do they receive it?
The answer is yes, I believe.
Absolutely, that. Yes. Well, she's acting like they're out there and you're over here. We're all one. We're all in the same realm. They can hear you talking to. I've had so many people who had dead family members or friends, and the deceased person will say, tell her I really appreciate everything she's thought about me and thinking about me. They love to hear about what you think of them. Like I like to do. Enough about me. What do you think of me?
I know they can. I know they can feel it and feel the presence. It's through telepathy. They can, and the astral bodies and things like that.
And you pray for their transition too, because there's a lot of people that get kind of stuck because people mourn them so hard. But as they transcend, they go higher and higher. That's where they're supposed to be.
Well, I've prayed for people's transition. Like when my mother was really, really sick, she was in-house hospice, and I promised I wouldn't let her suffer. I had them giving her Dilaudid and Ativan every 15 minutes.
Dilaudid makes you cray.
One nurse says, we can't do that because she'll get addicted. And I pulled the nurse in the hallway. I said, addicted? I said, this is a hospice unit. What planet are you on? Well,
What'd she say?
Well, she didn't like it. So she said, I'm not doing it. So when the doctor came, I said, I want her off this case. I said, this is not about my mother getting addicted. My mother will be lucky if she lives 48 more hours. This is about keeping her comfortable and pain-free.
Exactly. That's the whole purpose of hospice.
And I said, we asked this nurse not to turn her. And then this same nurse said she'd get bed sores. And the doctor kind of looked at me. He said, well, they brought her in from another unit. I said, well, she needs to go back. She better not step foot in my mother's room, because if she does, there will be a problem.
And did
And
they get rid of her?
we got rid of her, and they sent in a nurse that was amazing. She
Oh,
was
good.
amazing. This nurse came in and turned my mother, and my mother was out of it, but she opened her eyes and tears were just coming down. And you could just tell she was in agony. And I'm like, no, this
Yeah.
will not.
They ordered my father BID, which is twice a day,
Yeah.
a shot because, he was dying, and it was to make him comfortable. Because sometimes when he was sleeping, he'd wake up with horrible stomach pains. And then by the time they get the shot, I was like, get my father the shot. And one day a nurse walked in, and I was sitting by his side and he was asleep, and she walks in, and people sleep a lot when they're dying. She walks in and she says, oh, he's asleep, I won't give him a shot. I said, oh, hell no. There's nothing on that says PRN, which is per
As needed.
needed. It's BID, QD, which means you're going to give it to him twice. And I don't care if he's asleep, wake him up, give it to him anyway. Because we want his comfort level even.
Right. Well, that was mom, like every 15 minutes to half hour. And, as I said, I promised my mother, she said, don't let me suffer. I said, you won't have to worry about that. And so I just wanted them to keep her snowed, because I knew the agony that she
Oh,
would.
yeah. It's terrible.
And so
I gave my mom morphine because she was at my house, so I could give her the narcotic, every 4 or 6 hours. I can't remember. Just a little bit under her tongue.
yeah, they were giving her Dilaudid and
Dilaudid. I was on Dilaudid one time, and I had the worst dreams ever in my life.
that's the only thing that works for me.
Dilaudid?
My mother was the same way. We've got something called the redhead gene. My grandmother was redhead. And so, like anesthesia, it takes twice the amount. Like when I go to the dentist, they have to put it 3 or 4 times the amount in,
That
because
happens with me too, because probably my dad was a redhead.
you got it. It's called the redhead gene. You metabolize the anesthetic really fast.
Right.
So with mom, it was like, so, every 15, 20 minutes, for the probably around 48 hours before she passed. But it was a peaceful passing, thank God.
Good. There's a guy named Mike. What will be done about Trump having one of his aides copy top secret documents to a laptop?
I think Trump's
just one more thing he skates away from. No.
I think Trump had the aide do that, or Trump did it for the aide, and that aide is going to come out and say that.
Right, but he's going to call the aide a liar.
Well,
but that was classified information.
Well, he can call the aide a liar all he wants, but where did the aide get the information?
Where did the aide get the classified documents?
And the code to get into it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Mary Ann Johnson. Most Americans seem to think Biden has done nothing during the last 2 years. When will they realize how much he has done for us?
Oh, I know.
I think he's done a lot.
He's freaking fantastic. And remember who came to me was Roosevelt.
Right.
And he said, this president will do the New Deal like I did. And he has created more jobs than any other president.
I just think a lot of people don't, it's the Trumplicans and the ultra right that criticize.
Well, they're showing all the presidents on these graphs, and that, the unemployment by president and this and that. Trump was minus. And then you show Biden. I even thought Biden wasn't on the chart. He was the very last one, and he was straight through the roof in his numbers.
Well, his approval rating is still better than Trump's, I think.
Right. Will the people who have a class action lawsuit, this is from Diane, against the manufacturers of faulty Vena Cava filters be compensated for their pain and suffering, or will they get away with hurting so many people?
For the what kind of filters? I'm sorry.
Vena Cava filters.
Oh, the hearts. Oh, I know what she's talking about. Oh, yeah, they're going to be compensated for that big time.
What happened?
I think it was defective or something. It's a filter that's supposed to, I think, if I'm not mistaken, to keep blood clots from going through the heart. And I think they would they would malfunction or something, and it would
Kill
cause,
them?
yeah, a lot of people died. It would cause cardiac, I think, the temple nod. I forget the term for it, but yeah, they weren't work. A lot of them weren't working, and
Yeah,
yeah, if it's cases I'm thinking of,
yeah, yeah, there's gonna be a huge loss set. There's other Vena cava filters that are working though.
right? But for some reason, these malfunctioned.
Okay, give me another one.
Okay, Lenote Sparkles. I love it. I love the name. Romance author Felina Hopkins has disappeared after being released from jail for leading the police on a 24-mile high-speed chase by Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming. Her socials have been deactivated. She left her belongings at the jail, and her family hasn't heard from her
Oh,
again.
yeah, what's her name again?
Felina Hopkins. She currently has a February 28th court date for her arraignment. Felina gained notoriety in the book world for her attempt to trademark the word cocky back in 2018. What happened to Felina? Why,
Helena Hopkins.
why am I picking up suicide around her?
Is it so? I felt like I'm trying to find her picture. Image.
I don't know if she's lost her life to suicide or is feeling suicidal right now.
I'm not finding a Felina Hopkins. Maybe I'm spelling her name wrong.
Faleena.
Oh, F-A-L.
Eena, Felina Hopkins, Hopkins.
Here we go. She's sort of a gingerhead.
I'm not seeing a picture of her. I'm just saying the question. Yep, that would be the one, I suppose.
What was she in trouble for? Do you know?
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm not getting that she's dead.
Oh, it said that she she disappeared after being released from jail for leading the police on a 24-mile high-speed chase by Grand Teton National Park. So she must have led the police on a high-speed chase, and then she was arrested, and then she left jail. Nobody's heard from her.
It feels like she's really depressed or something's going on with her.
It almost feels to me like she's bipolar.
Yeah, but maybe she will commit suicide. I don't see anything untoward, somebody out to get her.
I just feel real manicky with her right now. Like,
Yeah,
but
poor
you
thing.
know, I picked up suicide, but it could be suicidal ideation. It doesn't mean she'll do it, but
Yeah,
she.
and also in her brain, like maybe she has some sort of tumor in her brain. Something's going on with her.
I picked
She
up.
might have had some sort of problem with drugs or alcohol.
I still pick up bipolar or schizoaffective.
Okay.
All right. What do you got, Linda?
Oh, give you another one.
Yeah.
Are you reading from my questions?
I don't know. They're on my.
They're
They
on
were
your thing? Because I'll tell you, you and I are getting the exact questions.
they're on my community board, so I don't know.
So they just turned around and did both of us.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
Okay, J Gemma, will anything ever get done about the actual obstacles in getting a truly fair election done in every state in the union? Like
Yeah.
regulate this misrepresentative gerrymandering, making election day a federal holiday, ensuring everyone who wants to vote gets a vote, and providing a tracking system with individual receipt reference like Amazon, FedEx, or UPS that allows each voter to watch in real time where their cast ballot ends up and proves they got tallied. And that's how California does it. They'll send me a thing saying your vote arrived and it's been tallied.
I see like a lot of legislation coming in states to ensure that elections can't be cheated and stuff like that. But
Right.
What I find amazing is when Republicans win, no cheating going on. But when they lose, they scream there's cheating.
Yeah, they're screaming there's cheating when Trump lost, but all the other people that won around him, not a word is mentioned.
Exactly. So it's only when they lose that they scream cheating.
which is
But
so
I do
obvious.
see,
They're like children. They're like children. Did you
but I
have
do,
one? Did you have another one?
but I do see election reform, a lot of it. So
Okay.
good. Okay. Um, Wendy Schneider, Highland and Mel. It has been reported that Russian oligarchs are funding the IRA. I think by buying memberships. Will this be stopped somehow? And if so, how?
Is that the Irish Republic?
I don't know what she means by that, but I heard a yes that
The
they are.
NRA is the guns and the IRA is the Irish Republic. I haven't heard that name in a while.
I haven't either, but let me see here. Hold on. I think she means the NRA.
Okay.
I think the National Rifle Association. I'm sure. Well, there's dark money that's funding them. That's for sure.
Yeah,
And that will come out.
that will come out. They're definitely going to go down. That I can guarantee you. I'm sorry it's taking so long. So Julian Newell said, will Fox News ever end up going out of business? The Dominion lawsuit is really going to hit that Murdoch hard.
Oh, huge, huge. If they're smart, they'll settle out of court.
Yeah.
But I've always seen that particular organization that calls itself news, which is really propaganda for Trump. I see it coming back to center.
That's what I saw too. And the other thing, I see Murdoch trying to blame, I see Murdoch's lifespan shortening up pretty soon, but I see him trying to blame Tucker Carlson and the others. Like, I never gave them permission to use that. But see, he was the ship captain, so he's going down with the ship and he's where all the money sits. So
Buck stops with him.
yeah.
So,
Well, my friend, what are you supposed to be doing today?
well, I'm gonna go to Jewel. That's our food store.
And do some shopping.
Grocery shopping a little bit, and then I'm going to get busy and answer the request for the people have called to go to Italy.
Okay.
And so that's about it. How about you?
Well, I'm going to lunch here in about 30 minutes in Nevada to meet with my sister and this lovely woman that was a client of mine. She actually lives down the street. And I'm going to put her, in fact, I'm going to talk to her today. I'm going to put her in my book. I'd gone to her house I used to do every once in a while, do a little group reading. And since she was right down the street from my sister, I figured her like a neighbor friend. So I went to her house and I read her mother, her daughter, and this other woman was there. And I do this reading and I kept seeing a young man, a very young man around. And I kept asking him, did you lose, a cousin, an uncle who died when he was young, somebody? Everybody said no. And she has a son, but he was up in Wyoming in school. And I was like, whoa, okay. So you have no child, no young man child. And she said no. And I said, okay. So we kept on and this kid kept bothering me. Finally, I leave. About 2 months later, she contacted me and she said, I know who that child was. And I said, who? She said, it was my son. He had committed suicide.
Oh, wow.
And there was no sign, like he was almost getting done with his schooling. He loved hiking and blah, blah, blah. And he took a gunshot right through they had to give their DNA to identify him. But that was him. And I think that's interesting that I've seen him way before it, and it was a while before he was found.
Did your mother miscarry once or something?
Not as far as I know, she may have.
Did you?
Yeah.
Only because there's a child here.
Oh.
And they want to be recognized. And so that's why I brought it up.
Is it male or female?
I'm picking up, there's a male child here.
Wow.
I don't know, but that's what I see.
Yeah, I think I even had a spontaneous abortion when I was in Ohio. I thought I was pregnant and then started to bleed like a pig.
You did. Because Yes, that's a yes.
Okay, okay,
Because they grow in spirit.
right.
So anyway,
So,
that just
okay,
that hit me when you were talking.
yeah, wow. All right, my friend. Well, you have a lovely day.
All right, sweetie. Stay
I'll talk
well.
to you later.
All
Cheers.
right.
Bye,
Love
you
you.
guys.